If you like this content, please remember to hit like, leave a comment, subscribe, and share with someone who might enjoy this too.
Chapter 15. I stand on the broad weathered front porch of Tuck's cabin and do a 280-degree scan of the world before me. There is no life for as far as the eye can see. It is early morning still, but already the heat is palpable. My head throbs as I take in the bright sun-drenched prairie around me. Nothing but tall grass and rolling terrain. The only other structure in my sightline is an old, weathered barn 20 or so yards from the cabin. I search for Tuck's silver pickup truck, but it is nowhere to be seen. Instead, a large gray beast snorts and trots around the barn, his thunderous hooves announcing his presence. He is tall, much too tall for the low rickety split-rail fence that is the only thing separating me from him. He trots right up to the fence, his chest well above the top of the fence. He is beautiful in a fearsome way. He tosses his big beautiful gray head, his glossy mane bathing in the early morning light. He fixes his steel gray eyes on me and rears up, and I brace for him to simply step over the fence and mow me down. Tuck walks casually up to the fence and reaches out a hand to the beast. The ungodly creature settles and nuzzles his long snout against Tuck's open hand. "You're all right, buddy," Tuck murmurs to the horse. "Bravo, meet Rosie." "Rosie, this is Bravo." Like Tuck, Bravo is pedigreed even to my untrained eyes. He is expensive, beautiful, and dangerous. I hate horses, I mutter to no one in particular. I open the screen door and head back inside.
I held out for exactly 48 hours on bathing and changing clothes, but I can't wallow in my own filth anymore. I know I'm being childish and I'm not proud of myself, but I'm not happy and I need Tuck to know it. Like my resolution not to bathe or change into the new clothes Tuck bought, any hope I had fades too. I can't hold my breath anymore, so I surface. The ancient clawfoot tub is far larger than the tub insert back in my old apartment. I have to hoist myself to the surface with the assistance of the sides. I sulk and stew in the deafening silence. My thoughts grow louder, and I wish I could hold my breath longer. At least underwater my heart drowns out my thoughts and I can focus on counting each beat. Tuck hovers and I can feel him hovering outside the bathroom. He's probably cleaning or doing something productive. He is as restless outside as I feel inside. I don't know what to make of him. I'm not chained up or locked away, but really, out here in the middle of nowhere, what's the difference? He isn't terrifying or abusive, but I don't know how far I can push him, so I am judicious with my petulance. I wonder how long or what it would take to push him over the edge. Then I wonder why I always feel like I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out. The silence allows my thoughts to drift back through my life and I can't stop myself from falling. For the last 8 years I stayed busy. I worked myself to exhaustion in order to get the periodic unbothered sleep. Now I have nothing but time to think and no distractions. My mind drifts back to my earliest memories of feeling fear and pain. I was 3 and my parents had just brought home my little sister. Then she is old enough to interact and I'm jumping on the bed we share and she's laughing. My legs buckle and my forehead meets hers. She lets out a cry and my father is the first to come into the room. He doesn't say anything, he looks at me and looks at the crying baby. He hits me, an open palm smack to the back, and then I'm crying too. I'm back at the townhouse Brent and I shared when I finally was able to join him at Fort Campbell in Kentucky. Brent has had too much to drink and he's on top of me, his fingers wrapped around my wrists, his nose touching mine. "If you ever cheat on me, I'll cut off your head and bury you in Impaksha where no one will find you," he mutters too calmly. Then I'm back in the kitchen of the only single-family house I've ever lived in as a child. I'm standing at the stove stirring something around a hot frying pan when I hear my father open the back door in his unique manner. The door opens with force and hits the stopper, then it slams shut. My father shouts, "Turn down the stove, you're using too much energy." I do as I'm told, but it doesn't make sense because he doesn't know how long the stove has been on. He hasn't been home in days. It's been peaceful without him and now the house feels different. I hear him immediately berate my mother in the living room for doing needlework. God, I wish you would just leave and never come back. You're miserable and you make us all miserable, I say to no one in particular. The next thing I know, he's coming at me with his right hand raised high in the air. He's screaming at me, but all I comprehend is, I'll kill you. I grab the closest thing, a knife. My mother steps through the doorway into the kitchen and for a moment I'm filled with hope. She's going to defuse her husband. Only, she grabs my hands, and her husband lands a few good punches on my back, and I kick him because I don't want to die. Rosie, Tuck calls through the door. I haven't escaped through the window, Tuck, I call back. He laughs softly. I'm heading to town tomorrow. I was wondering if there was anything you wanted to add to the list. The sound of his voice, his casual, bordering on friendly, tone annoys me. Come in, I call out. Are you decent? I'm even more annoyed now. What a stupid question, I ask myself. Does it matter? You've seen me naked before, I bite back. The bathroom door slowly opens and Tuck's sheepish face peeks in at me. I'll grab you some boots, a pair of sneakers, but I don't know what else to get and what sizes to grab, he says. I cross my arms, not out of modesty but out of irritation. I don't care what you get, Tuck. No one is going to see me out here anyway. Put me in denim from head to toe, I don't care. Rosie, he sighs, hanging his head, his veil of serenity slipping just the slightest. I can imagine you're upset with me. I'm trying my best to make you comfortable here. You're not very helpful. Give me one good reason why I should be helpful to you? He sighs once more then slinks into the room and kneels beside the tub, so we're eye to eye. Rosie, I love you. I think that if you give me a chance, we can be happy. I'm not a bad person, I promise. I'll take care of you. I'll be good to you. I'll give you anything you can ever want. I let my right eyebrow rise as well as the right corner of my mouth and glare up at Tuck. Is that what you tell yourself? You drugged me and kidnapped me, Tuck. I know, Rosie. Sometimes you can be so unreasonable. I shake my head then stand, not caring if he sees me naked. He unfurls my towel and wraps it around my body. What can I do to make you happy, he please? You can leave me alone, I bite out. Chapter 16. July 4th, 2017. For the most part, and probably the worst part, Tuck leaves me to myself. He gets up before the sun rises and I don't see him until dusk. A part of me suspects that it is his way of breaking me down further. A part of me wonders if I'm being paranoid. I've written to the only person I have in this world, Hugh, several times now even though he will never read my letters. Tuck has been reading my letters though, I'm sure of it. This morning a new spiral-bound notebook appeared on my nightstand along with a new pen, a gel pen instead of the dry ballpoint pen I've been using. Today I can't think of anything to write. I know I need to get up and do something. I need to set a routine for myself because that was how I found my stride in boot camp, Afghanistan, and well, how I made it through childhood, come to think of it. I may not have the elite training and skills Tuck has, but I have learned a thing or two about survival. After all, I am 26 years old and have had little help thus far. I get dressed and make my way into the kitchen. The dishes are washed and put away. The house is neat and tidy. I am not used to occupying the same space as another adult who cleans up after himself. My father never cleaned up after himself. Brent never cleaned up after himself. They both felt housework was beneath them. Housework was for women. It's strange how in the moment I hadn't noticed how I'd walked right back into my childhood when I met Brent. He and my father could not have looked any different, yet they both had the same narcissistic and misogynistic views. You're not as important as me, you're just a POG, Brent had said the first night we physically lived together. He had said it as though in jest, but we both were hungry and one of us needed to make dinner. We'd both worked long hours and were equally tired and frustrated. Can we go out to eat? I'm tired and I don't want to clean up afterwards, I said. No. We're not going to be that kind of family. It isn't asking too much for my wife to cook and clean. How tired can you be anyway? You sit inside an air-conditioned office all day, he'd said. Fine, if I cook, you do the dishes, I said, laughing because I thought we were teasing. No. You're the woman, you do the dishes. The front door opens and Tuck catches me off guard, standing at the sink looking out but seeing nothing. Rosie, are you all right? He asks. I try to hide the alarm behind a strained smile, which gives me away because I haven't smiled since coming here. I wasn't expecting you until dusk, I say, not knowing what else to say. He turns sheepish, shifting from one foot to the other as he studies the floor. I came home to ask if you'd like to go for a ride. We're getting ready to move the cattle into our pasture for the summer. I thought you might like to watch. I'm speechless. I'm standing on the front porch watching Tuck and Bravo coming to a halt before me. Bravo is terrifying. His shoulders tower well above me. I can't even reach his face if I wanted to. He doesn't like me, and I don't like him. We've never been this close before. Tuck has to coax him to stay calm. Tuck dismounts and extends a hand to me. I look at his open palm, then at Bravo. I shake my head. It's a hot day. You don't want to be walking in this heat, Tuck urges. You can ride him. I'll walk, I say. Tuck stands there thinking, his eyes soft and searching, my face, my body, and back to my face again. I can't read the emotion on his face. After a long moment he comes to a conclusion, and he gives me a soft half smile that makes his eyes dance. Tuck takes Bravo's reins in his right hand and offers me his left. I look at his palm, then his face, and I shake my head. He nods and brushes his palm on his jeans. He starts walking and Bravo obediently follows. I take my first cautious steps off the front porch in my new leather boots. The boots feel foreign. They're stiffer than combat boots. Then again, I feel different. I feel more vulnerable out here. The world feels bigger, scarier. I'm not surrounded by my belongings. I can't tell where home is. Tuck won't let me walk behind him and Bravo. He forces Bravo to a near standstill as they stroll beside me, and I wonder how he can be so patient with me when no one I'd given my heart to has ever been able to stomach me. My mind drifts back to last July. Tuck met me at my car and like always, he pinned me to the spot with his eyes making me short of breath. He closed the distance between us in a few steps and extended his right arm in my direction. I followed the length of his outstretched arm to his sturdy hands. He had a glossy magazine in his hand, the cover turned to face the sun. I craned my neck for a better look. On the cover was a technicolor photo of a trail of gaunt shoeless young men flanked by two gigantic white men in black combat boots and sweat-stained t-shirts that might have once been stark white. They were American soldiers. Only the young man in the foreground was in focus. He looked both too young and too old all at once to be cradling a rifle in his sinewy arms. The young man's eyes were dark and distant. He wore a dingy t-shirt that was far too big for him, probably cast off from one of the American soldiers in the photo. The t-shirt was tucked into a pair of loose black trousers tied with an embroidered sash, and I immediately knew he was Hmong. The headline read, "Newly Declassified Stories from America's Green Berets, Life Among the Hill Tribes of Laos." My throat constricted and my eyes blurred and burned. Before I could blink them back, the tears rolled down my cheeks, fat and hot on my skin. "Tuck," I croaked. "How did you?" He stepped into me and wrapped me in his arms, my left cheek resting on his solid chest. His left hand rubbed my back as he murmured, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry. I thought you'd enjoy reading some of the articles." He planted a kiss atop my head, his arms tight around my body. "Thank you," I said. "It's very thoughtful of you." I didn't mean to make you cry, Rosie, he murmured, then let out a soft chuckle. You're as tough as rock. I didn't think I'd make you cry. When you're ready to talk about it, I'm here. Bravo's impatient snort brings me back to the prairie behind the cabin, our feet still stirring dust despite my mind having traveled. Tuck, I say.
Yeah,
Rosie, he answers, turning to look at me beside him. Last year you gave me that magazine and I cried. I can't reconcile the history of my people with myself. You told me you thought I was tough, but how can I be tough and so easily subdued? He doesn't answer me. He lets out a self-deprecating scoff then laughs softly. I saw the magazine and I thought of you. I wasn't expecting you to cry, he says to the world around us. I read and reread the stories. It made you make sense, Rosie. It feels like our fates are intertwined, Rosie, like we're made for each other. My career choice, meeting you, your history. If any woman should make it out here, it's you. I wonder over and over what makes me an ideal target, Tuck. I keep thinking about my shortfalls. I'm small, I'm a woman, I have no family, and no one will miss me. You're wrong about that, Rosie. Hugh misses you. We take several steps in silence, Bravo snorting his agitation and disapproval of me setting the pace. You're strong, Rosie. You're made of stone and steel. You have a spark about you. We take several more steps in silence. I just wanted to capture and keep you safe. I didn't want anyone to extinguish that spark. I've seen and done many things in my time, good and bad. Some people might say I'm entitled. He scoffs then hangs his head and gives himself a disbelieving shake. I guess I do feel entitled, Rosie. I gave the army the best years of my life. I held back for so long, settling down, starting a family, all in the name of my career. The next thing I know, I'm a crippled old man with nothing to show for my years of sacrifice. I no longer had a team. They unanimously voted to get rid of me, did you know that? When I got hurt, I was 17 years in. I was on track for making Sergeant Major. It took nearly 2 years of soul-crushing work to learn to walk and talk again, but I had hoped I'd finish out my career with pride and honor or die in the line of duty. He shakes his head once more. Then I saw you my first day as a glorified babysitter and, it was like, God might be real. I saw you and I thought, if that angel can love me, I might not be beyond saving. It hurt that I was good enough to sleep with but not good enough to be with. I've watched so many of my peers do the visitations and every other weekend and holiday thing with their kids. I just couldn't imagine doing that. I want a wife who loves me and my kids with me every day of their lives. It had nothing to do with picking you because you were easy prey, Rosie. I wanted you because you are strong enough for this life. If you like this content, please remember to hit like, leave a comment, subscribe, and share with someone who might enjoy this too.